Contracted was a really interesting film, almost a reimagining of one of Cronenberg's 70s films, and seemingly far superior to the apparently miserable Rabid remake of 2019, with a tinge of attempted awareness to the worthwhile subject of the female plight, which most people were only just becoming attuned to, that is, men, during the early mid 2010s. The prospect of sexual danger, shame, and insecurity permeates Contracted, and if it takes a gory horror picture to reorient certain men to a state of mind they are not entirely privy to, so be it. Contracted was followed by a sequel which did not involve writer, director, and co-producer Eric England at all. I am skeptical of its prospective quality, and was more poorly received anyway, not that this film was a critical darling by any stretch. I appreciated Contracted as a socially aware body horror film, as many of the classics peculiarly were back in the 70s and 80s. Even if it may not strike one as masterly by certain filmmaking standards, I found myself rather admiring the film overall. In Contracted, a woman is severely affected in the aftermath of an aggressive rape. Gradually her psyche spirals, her life is disintegrating around her, she becomes different to those who know her and is ultimately deemed a threat to herself and or others, whilst the man responsible for her malaise is never brought to any justice. Whether it was incidental or not, though who writes such a script as simple graphic horror fare, Contracted has employed body horror metaphor to demonstrate the unfathomable physiological consequences of a violent violation, and I at least like that it tried to raise awareness to the destruction that such traumatic events inflict upon people without directly simulating a realistic occurrence's loosely exploitative conflict actor wank inconsequential drama, relying on traumatic invocation in order to amorally milk so-called respectable high art. Rather than attempting to be Oscar-focused pseudo-high art, Contracted is ugly, vile, sickening, nightmarish, as perhaps any film on such topic really ought to be, rather than refined, pseudo-cultured, award-hungry, high-budget bourgeois nothings. Possibly not considered sufficiently sensitive by some, this wasn't written or directed by a woman. Clearly Eric England is a male, as am I. Maybe we don't know, although some of us as men are, unfortunately, gravely aware, brutally aware, of males' capacity for violence and sympathise to the degree to which we can. I admire the effort more than I really consider it a classic, but good on Contracted for trying to be a little bit aware and socially conscious. It is more effective, seamless, quote, elevated horror, unquote, than most attempts at it during the 2010s, more impactful than most of those garbage anthology show failures like the pathetic, regrettable Black Mirror mistakes. This is also a film which was condemned, partly perhaps due to its disgusting error in marketing. A preview synopsis claimed that the protagonist's sexual encounter was consensual, a one-night stand rather than a rape under the influence of a drugged drink. Maybe someone got this confused with the soon-to-be-released, almost contemporary to it film It Follows, which we shall be discussing in the very near future, or maybe someone wasn't watching the film instead of scrolling their smartphone. Who the bloody hell knows? If Contracted is in fact ignorant and a hollow attempt at dispelling understanding, please do let me know in the comments below. Now, thank you and good night.